Welcome back to another video. This is my second speech done online. Um, like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, I decided to do this speech, my commemorative speech on my grandmother, Earnie B. Cain. She is 85 years old, um, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, and I really hold her in high regards. She's done a lot for me, and I remember when I was younger, like she used to go way out of the way to like get me like some food or something like that, or like maybe something I would need for school because maybe we didn't have it by where we live. And I remember sometimes like I would take advantage of her in a sense, but I was young and I didn't know any better. I remember my parents, they would tell me, "Oh, don't make your grandmother do something like that. You should know better." But I really didn't, and like I would make her. I remember one time I didn't make her do this, but she had asked if I was hungry, and I was like, yeah. And she was like, what did you want to eat? And I said, I can't remember what it was, but long story short, she ended up having to drive like 20 miles out to go get some food for me, and then brought it back. And then she was like, we can't do this again, you know. I was like, yeah, I know. And at the time, it didn't really register with me what she had done for me, but that's real love right there. She's one of the only ones besides my parents who has really done a lot for me and stuff like that. So I really hold her in high regards. So Earnie Cain was born in the 1930s, and she was born in the southern states, Louisiana, and she's the last of 24 brothers and sisters. Her parents died when she was 9 years old, forcing her to move in and live with her sister. And her sister took care of her, and I believe her boyfriend took care of her um, for her upbringing and into her adolescence and whatnot. And then she moved to North Carolina, and she had my dad and his siblings and all that stuff. And yeah, we've been in North Carolina pretty much ever since. So she has lived in this apartment complex. Not now, but she used to live in this apartment complex for about 20 something years, and that was my first memories of my grandmother. She would come, or I would come over, and I remember there wasn't really a lot of toys around, but she would always come and she would talk to me, and she'd always see how I was doing and stuff like that, ask if I ever need anything, typical grandmother stuff. And whenever she fed me, man, like, man, like, I would be fat and greasy, basically. Like I'd be sitting there just exhausted from eating so much because she would make an absurd amount of food for like a kid who's like 10, 11, 12. Like she would make like pans and pans of food. I was like, Granny, I can't eat all this stuff. That's what I call her, Granny. I'd be like, Granny, I can't eat all this stuff. She's like, no, it's okay. If you don't want it, I'll save it or something like that. But yeah, she used to do that for me. And after that, she moved into her retirement home, and we go by and visit her from time to time. And I know that she gets lonely sometimes. So Granny, if you ever see this, love you, stay safe, and I really appreciate you. My grandmother has gone above and beyond, not only for me but those around her. I remember when I was younger, like back in elementary school, whenever we would go to church, she would always ask and see if anybody ever needed rides. I remember sometimes driving home, she would stop and give, I know that sometimes people choose not to give homeless people money and whatnot, but she would always, not always, but most of the time, let's put it like that. She would, most of the time, look out for the homeless and people of less fortunate because she was in a similar situation herself. So she knows what it feels like. And I really respect her for that. And I love her and all that. So shout out to my grandmother. This has been a commemorative speech from Asher Cain. Thank you very much.